Okay, good morning. We do not have a quorum today, unfortunately. Some people had planned to come and life sometimes gets in the way and they were not able to make it. So we will not be able to vote on anything, but we can still have discussion. The only thing that we had a vote on anyway were minutes, and we'll just save those to the very next meeting. So I wanted to start off with, as most of you may already know, Pamela Watkins ended her tenure with us in the end of December, almost 20 years, and she retired, and she's moved on to Colorado with all the grands and all that, and she's having a wonderful time. She sends her love to everyone, but she doesn't miss us.
That sounds like her.
She misses each of you individually, but not as a whole. She doesn't miss the committee, is what she said. I actually talked to her a couple days ago. You know how she is. She's silly. She's having a grand old time. She's got most of her grandkids out in Colorado and 2 of her daughters, and she's been posting pictures every day of how beautiful it is out there and the elk that are running through her yard. I'm like,
it looked like she was in a national park or something.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So we wish her well and moved on. So obviously we can't talk about the minutes. We will save those to the very next meeting. And from there, moving forward, I will be the liaison for the TDC for this committee. So if you need something, please let me know. I'll do my best, as Pamela always did, to do anything that you all need. So I'll take care of it the best I can. Moving forward from that, I think you all met PJ earlier, but I still want to take the time and introduce our new director of marketing. This is PJ Lohman. She comes to us from a wide variety of places. She's got a lot of experience in the marketing background and state tourism background and advertising background. So I'll give it to her so she can tell you a little bit about herself.
Really, that's all there is. But I do appreciate being here. I came on board essentially December 1, so I've just passed the 90-day mark. My background is both in tourism development, marketing, as well as being on the advertising agency side of the industry, representing what else? Tourism destinations. So my career has been in tourism for more than 20 years. Primarily in the Southwest. My parents retired to Southwest Florida about 16, 17 years ago, I guess. They retired early and living the golf and marine life, and they had some health issues, and I wound up relocating to Southwest Florida for about a year and assisting, and now they are on the mend, which is fabulous, and it allowed me an opportunity to get back into what I love to do, and that is destination marketing and development. So this opportunity opened up, and I feel very blessed to be here, and I look forward to working with all of you. And let's. Did they tell you you're not doing 20 years? They did. I was very clear when I interviewed that I have moved a bit in my career, and that's basically for opportunity. You go where opportunity knocks. But I'm tired of the nomadic life, and I have no intention of moving again. So you will see me 20 years from now, and I will look forward to seeing you as well.
Good.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you, PJ. So moving forward, this committee is changing just a little bit. Not as much as, not so much changing as what you do, but I don't want to have meetings just for meetings. I don't think anyone else wants to have meetings just for meetings. This committee will still score the event grant applications and Artist of the Year. But beyond that, there's really not a lot to meet about unless you all want a meeting. So I don't want to just have meetings to have meetings. We'll have meetings when we need when we need to do something. So moving forward, I'll communicate with you all, and if you have something that you think is we need a meeting and something's going on, I'm glad to do that. But moving forward, I'm going to try not to have one every other month, just because it saves you all time and it saves me time. So with that, I would like to talk about the new event marketing grant guidelines. And the guidelines are essentially the same, and just a little bit different how we're going about it. And I would away. So it's the same purpose. They have to be the same kind of events they've always been. The events that you all in this room put on, especially Jennifer and Kelly. I mean, you guys put on some really wonderful events, and we still want to support that. However, we were asked to look at the way we supported that financially and how we could use the $550,000 maybe more efficiently by the TDC Council. So they asked us to explore some ways to do that, and we put that together with making it similar to a co-op program. It will be, as I talked about and we approved last meeting, it will be very similar to the co-op program, except as an event you don't have to buy in, and there's really not a cap on what we can spend. One of the things that I need from you all from this meeting is some of the outlets that you all would like to participate in. So maybe for Kelly, it's Alabama Media Group, because I remember that being on one of yours. But maybe for Jennifer, it's something completely different, like on-air radio for the Songwriters Festival, or maybe it's Tennessee Magazine, or maybe it's all online. So I want to get with you all individually. After this meeting, I'll send you each an email, and you can tell me some outlets that you think would be great for you to participate in. The first picture in front of you is this one, and we showed it at the last meeting. It will not be this picture, because I promise you I will not be in it. But we just had to pull something together that kind of looked like people were having wine. As you can see, the 4 wine festivals are on this one, and what we're looking at is giving you all $25,000. You may only get one ad in Garden and Gun, or you may only get one e-newsletter or something like that in Garden and Gun. If we can do this, we have a much higher buying power with the rest of our media plan, which is $2 million, a little more than $2 million, and this will be an extra $500,000 that we put into it. We will use that buying power to get that $5,000 ad down to maybe $2,500. So we could do 2 insertions, and we could do more insertions. So you'll still be in the same. You'll still be getting the same amount of stuff. You just may be sharing it with someone. Now, obviously, the Seaside Half Marathon probably is not going to be on the same ad as the Baytown Wharf Beer Festival. I could see advertising that in a runner's world or something like that. But I also do see some cross promotion. So some of those smaller events, such as that need a little lift, like a Baytown Wharf Beer Festival, I can see pairing it with a much larger Sandestin Wine Festival that has the name recognition, whereas a Baytown Wharf Beer Festival might not. So whereas, the number one event in South Walton is the 30A Songwriters Festival, and it's proven time and time again, it has the name recognition, whereas a Wine, Women, and Shoes does not have the same name recognition. It will not be all print. We're going to do, we're going to see what you all want. If you would rather do online, we'll do online, and we'll put that together. What we'll also do with that online is then give it back to you all so that you can use it in whatever way you would like through any additional advertising that you're doing. We will take the time to create individual ads, and I will work with you all individually to make sure your event is represented as you would want it to do. Like one of the things that, and I'm just using you for an example, Jennifer, because you have some very important events. But one of the things that we make sure we do is, I guess you would call it the presenting sponsor is CAA a lot of times. So we always make sure that on an online ad or whatever, that when we're doing some online, we give CAA the credit in addition to the event, because that's also another way. CAA is very credible, and this event goes along with it. And then that's something that Jennifer could take and use if she wanted to do additional advertising. With the addition of the money, one of my favorite parts of it is that it will be, Kate's going to work to get us at least 30 to 50% added value. So if we're looking at a $550,000, we could get at least an extra $200,000 in added value that we would do.
That's more advertising exposure. Do you mind if I interject? Because I wanted to clarify a couple of details because I'm new to the program. My understanding is that the guidelines themselves and the application form were reviewed and approved by this committee in November. And the biggest change to the program from the prior year to the current year is really how we leverage the funds that we're providing in support of the events. And I think that's really important, as Kelly was just mentioning. The volume of media that we purchase to promote South Walton is more than $2 million annually. And that's a lot of leverage when you're negotiating the rates on the media purchase. So it allows us to leverage a volume buy, providing the events themselves with more exposure to a larger audience than you could have done individually. And that's where we're trying to head with this program. But we do recognize, as Kelly just pointed out, that there are circumstances that we want to look at the actual media outlets and make sure that we are representing your programs to your target audience. So that will be taken into consideration. Like-minded events will be promoted together, often the case so that we can bring more lift to the fact that, for instance, wine, there are multiple wine events. We want to talk about that as an event, as an experience that you can have in South Walton. Therefore, we can create more awareness of that experience with multiple events in the same ad. Am I correct in that, Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then playing off that just a little bit, maybe some of the smaller events that we want to that we give money to, something like the Bloody Mary Festival. It's a very small one-day event, and it's a little bit pairing it with something like the 30A Wine Festival or South Walton Beaches Wine and Food Festival gives that festival more credibility. So those of you that have been around longer and you're actually helping those events, because the more we can help each event, the more people that know about it, then obviously the more heads in beds, and that's good for the economy all the way around, and that's what we want to do. So looking at the application, it did not change anything other than the timetable for review. It's still the same criteria for review when you look at it. It's still the same guidelines about the event has to take place in Walton County and, all of the different things. The signature events are still exactly the same, 3 days, and what we're looking at is events that are deemed signature will receive 1 to 3 ads to run in at least 5 markets specific to the event. These ads may be print or online and will lead to a landing page on visitsouthwalton.com. The ads may be standalone ads, only advertising South Walton in the signature event, or the ad may have multiple other events represented on the page. And that's what we do with the online signature events now. It leads to your page that we have dedicated directly to your event with multiple pictures on the page that goes directly to your website. So we are a pass-through on that. It actually has a buy tickets now, and I link it all to the proper places. So when I say to know more about the event, that goes straight to know more about the event, to know the schedule, that goes straight to there, so that the end visitor, consumer, can find exactly what they're looking for. And when it says buy tickets, it's actually linked directly to wherever you're selling tickets, because a lot of times events use a third-party ticketing like Exorbia or something. And experience events will be a little different. Theirs will maybe only run in up to 3 markets instead of the 5. But that doesn't talk about the number of times it may run either time. We know that they will have be in at least 3 markets, but what we would like to do, and for signature events, which are the larger events, up to 5 markets, that's why I want to talk to you all and talk to you where you would like your events advertised. What has your research shown? Because I know many of you have been part of the research we've done in the past, and I know many of you conduct your own research. I know I've been at the Songwriters Festival, and I've had the person come up and ask me the questions. So, you do your own research and you know where your people are. Besides that, you're selling the tickets, so you know where they're coming from. So we want to make sure that it's exactly what you all are looking for. So those are the main things that have changed. Instead of giving out the money, we will use the money and use it in similar ways that we've used in the past. So I know there will be much discussion, so I'd like to leave the floor to you.
I have many thoughts. I was not here for the November meeting, so I'm not sure what, and I haven't seen the minutes, so I'm not sure what all was discussed. And was this all presented in November and approved by the committee? This? Okay.
Yes, it was. It was. I did a whole PowerPoint on everything, and if you would like to see the minutes, I have them here.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I
mean, I can speak mostly for my own events, and I think just from the number of years that I've served on this committee and attended other events and understood the program, I feel like it's really going to hurt the organizations and the events by changing what I think has been a successful program, especially in the way that it's grown over the years. For instance, I would think, looking at the data and I guess in 2015 there was a study, an economic impact study done, and just the 38 Songwriters Festival alone in a 3-day weekend made a $4 million direct economic impact. I would call that a success. So I'm not sure why, other than the TDC leveraging the success of the events that we've created, why the change is happening in this way, because it's so drastic, and it's what it's going to do to my events, and I think other events, is we are losing our leverage to get other sponsorships, because when we have the dollars to spend advertising out of market and promise to our sponsors that we can, we're putting their logo on our garden and gun ad, that's no longer a possibility for us. So we're going to lose not only the ability to buy the ads that market our own events and don't confuse our brands with other events, we're losing leverage for sponsorship dollars. And I think that I think looking at this, I think this is what the TDC should be doing anyway. With your own budget.
We don't have the dollars to do that. We would have to leverage the dollars.
But instead of an ad that just talks about the beach, you guys could be doing ads that talk about events.
And we have some that are that way. I guess the biggest thing that I want to say to Jennifer and the rest of you would be, we're not supposed to be your only advertising budget. You're supposed to have an additional advertising budget beyond what we give you. And that's kind of where the TDC Council comes from after they read the packet. We're supposed to be an addition to something you would not be able to do if you didn't have our money. Or the TDC money. I frequently call it my money. It's not. But that's kind of where we're coming from. And then they see, so you all submit your invoices and everything, and then I can see the difference in what we're paying for some of the same ads, and it's much lower because maybe we're buying 3 or 4 of them and doing online, and maybe you all are paying $4,000 to $5,000 and we're paying considerably less because we're running more. I know you remember, Jennifer, it is very similar to what we used to do with the Autumn Tides program. We were tasked by the TDC Council and the BCC to how can we use the dollars most efficiently, and this was one of the ways that we came up with that we wanted to use it more efficiently. So
yes, I can understand the economies of scale. That makes a lot of sense. And I wasn't at the last meeting either, and we kind of talked about it afterwards. But I guess this was a little surprising. Like, I don't know that we, talking as out of speech, if we would, how we would consider, or how marketing would consider having our logo as part of, 6 or 7 others. So that would be a concern that we would probably look at.
If you turn to the next page, that is a very successful bridal ad that we do with co-op partners.
Sure.
And we're doing, they actually pay for those. Those are $500 each. Again, it's not going to be this creative or anything like that. This is very busy, but we just had to have something put together for the meeting.
Sure.
We're going to do an actual photo shoot for these photos. And remember, online is going to be just you. Online is not going to have other partners with it. We're just leveraging the online to do more. And then we'll still do some additional things. I would think we may keep NPR radio and some other, really want to target some social as well. And then again, that is only you. So pretty much the only place you're going to be sharing anything with is in a print ad. And the committee may decide we only want to spend 10% on print ads, the rest on social and online, and that is only you all. I mean, it's not going to be a conglomerate. It'll be just like we do for signature events now, where you have the dynamic ad that comes straight to you all. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's what the TDC and the BCC was looking at when they passed this.
What were the marketing committee? What role are they playing in this campaign?
It also went to the marketing committee, and they approved it as well before it went to the TDC. They had some very good questions. Stacy Brady brought up the exact same questions you did, Jennifer. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like you have to take off your event hat and put on your South Walton hat, and that's what I told them at the other committee. You're not thinking about how it's supposed to help your event. As a part of this committee, you're supposed to think about the whole South Walton approach. And so when you're thinking about that, they said that they can see how this would be advantageous to spend the money more efficiently, is what they said. And it went to this committee first in November, and then like a week later it went to the marketing committee, and then I'm sorry, Pam's not here, but Pam voiced very many concerns that you did, but in the end, the committee voted to go forward, and the marketing committee voted to go forward. And guys, if it doesn't work and you hate it, we have next year. We'll change it. I promise. This is supposed to be, Pamela and Carly and I were just tasked with trying to use the money effectively and efficiently. And I'm just trying to figure out we worked with the advertising agency, we worked with the PR agency, and based on the comments from the TDC council, and this is what we come up with. If it doesn't work, we'll scrap it and go back, and this committee will work on something else that we think will work. We just had to get there so that we could do something differently. And then, like I said, if this is not what we need it to be, and it's not helping, and it's not doing the things that you all want it to be, we'll have some of those meetings I was talking about, and we'll come up with some more ideas on it.
Do you mind if I jump in? I just thought I'd share a little bit of my experience, just to share a perspective. I have seen cooperative marketing programs like this be extraordinarily successful. And I think the biggest concern with a shift of this magnitude is you start to wonder, how is my brand going to survive within the larger brand of South Walton? And that's an understandable concern. Our role is to help leverage your events and create a greater sense of awareness. It is not just a logo in an ad kind of a campaign. Within this marketing plan, as Kelly mentioned at the start of the conversation, you as the event organizers on behalf of the community, as a committee, you're going to be looking at and suggesting to us where you have had success with your advertising efforts so that we can capitalize on that and create additional lift. In addition, you will have some sole ownership advertising units. And so Kelly mentioned some radio earlier, and we'll continue our radio program as part of this program to promote your event as event dates draw near. So it's not going to be something that's general in the marketplace and placed out of your season for promotion and the booking season. We're going to be very in tune with that. And in addition to that, as a specific opportunity, we're also going to be placing online ad units. And again, we can target geographically, demographically, lifestyle to make sure that we're providing the adequate support for the community events. I've seen programs like this with great success. We also want to take into account as the program moves forward that we will provide to you return on investment and ask you to share the same with us so that we can monitor how the program is working for you. If we need to make a course correction, you have our commitment to do that. So we're not saying that for the better part of, for a year, we're not going to make any course corrections. If we find out that we have some things to massage, if you will, to be more effective, we are open and receptive to working with this committee to make sure that we are promoting the events in your best interest and the best interest of the South Walton community.
And then one of the other points I would like to make is it gives the consumer a choice that they are not getting currently when it's just one event advertised. So looking back at this piece of paper in front of you, this is not proposed or anything. I just wanted something mocked up because it always helps to be able to see something. You know, maybe someone can't get away February 17th and they can't get away April 20th, but you know what? My kids' spring break is during March 9th through 12th. We could have some adult time during that time and the kids can still play at the beach or whatever. So, or maybe they can only come during April 27th. They know they love wine festivals. They know they love South Walton, but you know, this gives them an option of 4 different festivals to come to. So we are looking at that, and I think it's important to give our consumer options, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. And then also the other way that I think is a help to everyone. Maybe in the past, Jennifer has done something that's amazing because, I mean, obviously look at the 38 Songwriters Festival. I mean, it's grown leaps and bounds, and I mean, it makes January so wonderful when it can be quite chilly. And maybe she's got some great ideas on how she's done this and how this has worked for her at that point, because it's not competing with her because your event is at a different time. Maybe she can share those ideas as well, and that's where we'll get the ideas from, you know, the outlets or whatever. You know, the same thing for you, Kelly, or, you know, Shelby or whomever, because maybe, you know, St. Joe has done some wonderful things. So that's another way that I want this committee to collaborate together to be able to do that. And I would hope that, you know, you all would be open to collaborating together like that. So.
Can we answer any questions for you, or would you like to share additional feedback with us?
I don't know. I mean, I have voiced my concern to Kelly personally and here, and I wish I had been at the November meeting. I couldn't be because I would have voiced it even more loudly there. But I feel that it's going. I mean, I hope it works, but I feel like events are going to lose incentive to even be a part of it. And I think pairing a high quality event like the 38 Wine Festival with something that needs a little help isn't really fair to an event that has worked really hard to achieve success and credibility.
But it's not about but South Walton's not about the event itself. South Walton is about getting people here.
But that's what the campaign is I'm saying
We'll have to assess.
Alice Beach, and I'm just singling you out because that was the example that was given.
Right.
May not want their brand next to the Bloody Mary Festival. So I think that's going to need some work, and I would think that our committee should probably workshop it with the marketing committee if you're looking for ideas, because we have our own specific experiences, but I think from a more general marketing standpoint, it would be a good idea to combine that conversation with the marketing committee if possible.
I see both advantages, like you say, as a person coming to the area, to know that there's quite a few different things, not just one wine event. But I see what you're saying, if you have a top-notch type of event and then not a lower, but a not so upscale together, it kind of takes the edge off maybe the top-notch type of thing. I see what you're saying, but I also am leaning towards what you're saying, because overall we want people to come and to know what's going on, whether it's on a media like this or online drop-down box and things like that. So
yeah, so it's hard to separate the two. I mean, in my mind, probably yours too. With South Walton, looking at it makes perfect sense, but as somebody rolling up into it, I think we would probably want to sit down and really assess what the new things mean and how it affects our marketing and branding. So.
Because I do agree that the TDC should be marketing. I mean, this makes sense for the TDC to give the to market all of the activities, including the beach and off the beach,
and we do.
But I mean, this is not a really great example of what. I mean, if this is what it's going to be, I don't think that it's a completely different level of exposure.
So when you're looking at that and you put your shoes or walk in my shoes or put the South Walton hat on, I can't advertise every event that happens in South Walton. I mean,
you can if you're giving the marketing dollars that have to be proven that have been spent out of market the way that it's been.
But if there's not a selection process, how do I tell the Boys and Girls Club that I can't? This is a selection process that gives us an opportunity to advertise those events, because we need to be able to say that these were selected based on criteria. So I understand what you're saying, Jennifer, that we should advertise all events, and I love events, so I'm in agreement with that. But I have to have a rationalization of why I'm choosing this one versus this one. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. And again, it was more of looking at how the money can be spent more efficiently and effectively for South Walton.
Well, providing greater exposure for the events to the potential consumer who would come here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big portion. When I look at co-op ads and co-op programs, for instance, if you're looking at we do meetings ads, and in a different program, a different cooperative program, and within those ads are competitor logos. And the reason that they're there is because they're not considering themselves competitors. And we all know that we're not competing with one another at the local level until the visitor has chosen to come to our destination. That's when there becomes a point of differentiation, and the consumer starts to look at this opportunity versus that. Until that time, we're competing with an outside market, Myrtle Beach, for instance. And so we're trying to help leverage a greater awareness for the experiences. And if we need to do some fine-tuning within that, I think we're open to doing that. Is that correct, Kelly?
Mm-hmm. And I don't envision the ads looking anything like this. That's why I brought the bridal one. I envision you getting more copy, your logo being bigger. If you look at the bridal ad, it looks much nicer, and it gives you an opportunity to say something about your event, whatever your tagline is. It just gives a few more opportunities there. I mean, including a website if they want to go directly to your website. So I envision it looking more like this. However, I asked for this like the week before. So I was like, I need something. So they put this together quickly. I envision it more like this, which in return, a St. Joe, a Hilton, a Sandestin, and the rest, they paid $500 for that ad.
So on the one hand, because for the events, it's free marketing money, right? It's money that you wouldn't otherwise have that they're giving to you. So it's a gift. But on the other hand, I think what you're saying is it affect your brand negatively? Is that what the concern is? because it's not as powerful as the way they used to do it, but it's still free money.
Right. Well, we don't participate in co-ops, period. So, you know,
Right.
as a whole, our brand just typically does not.
So it's okay.
For us, we probably would really have to think hard about
If it's going to sink it or not, sink the whole
not
relationship.
to say that any is better than the other. It's just we're very particular about
Right.
our branding standards.
Okay.
So.
And I think my point is more, I mean, I understand that every event can't depend on the TDC for funding, you know, in perpetuity. I mean, that's just, we've been very, I think we've had, my organization, and I think that we've had a very positive relationship with the TDC, and I've been very grateful for that. But I also think that we and other large events that receive that signature status are going to lose opportunity. You know, maybe if our print ad budget is $25,000, and we, you know, now we're sharing that advertising with 4 other festivals, we can't promise to our, you know, larger sponsors who are helping grow the event and bring more people to the area, we can't promise them that same level of exposure because we no longer have those dollars to do so. So it's just, I mean, it may force us to grow in other ways and have to rethink that partnership with the TDC, but I mean, that may be better for us in the long run, and we'll find out.
And the reason the council brought this up is how long do you fund an event? That's been for the last 3 to 4 years. That's been a constant. Every time I take this to the BCC, they're like, how long do we keep funding these events? It's supposed to be seed money to let them grow. And maybe you're the Seaside Half Marathon. It sells out in 2 hours. We had to change it so that they didn't spend $50,000 on t-shirts. So Taste of the Race was born out of that. So, because they were able to utilize some of that money to promote Taste of the Race. So that's one of the ways we're looking at, you know, how long do we continue, you know, to fund an event. We've been funding the little basketball tournament, and which is only $10,000, but we've been funding it for like 20 years. Yes, it puts heads in beds. I mean, seriously fills up the Hilton, the Marriott, and the Embassy during that week, during that in between Christmas and New Year's. But again, how long do we continue to fund an event too? So these were some of the ways that, you know, these are some of the charges we were given by the BCC, and I just keep ignoring how long are we going to fund an event.
Well, I think I've said this for many years, that there are some events that I think, while the funding does benefit them, like the race, I'm sure appreciates the $50,000, it really does more for the South Walton brand to be affiliated with that than it does for the race. Because, I mean, that's an amazing event that I know that the TDC wants to remain a part of.
And we do
so
it for the.
At what point do you guys decide it's marketing for you instead of seeding an event?
I would just say that there is no us. This is a community initiative to develop tourism for the entire region of South Walton. So it's not to an organization's benefit. It's a matter of, are we building a brand that allows the consumer to understand the variety of experiences excuse me, that they can have here. And so it's not about the TDC, it's about developing the community and the brand for the overall community. A lot of folks will come and understand the value of one brand that they may love and embrace, and when they get here, they then look around and say there are other wonderful opportunities that we'd like to experience as well. And I think that's where we're trying to go with the program.
So what happens when you stop funding, let's say, the Seaside Race, and the $50,000, maybe it's down to 10, and there's a surplus of the $40,000, but there's not continually new events that are submitting? I mean, I know that would be a
If
fun,
I'm
great problem to
understanding,
have, but what happens when there's
I think that's a great question. If I'm understanding the history of the program, and Kelly, you correct me if I'm wrong, this program was initiated in order to help events get their feet off the ground and become established community events. But it was not a program that was meant to continue to fund regardless of the need for funding. I believe the program was established to help the events themselves establish an identity, a following, to sell tickets, to bring folks to stay here. It's a very admirable opportunity that the events are creating. My understanding is that this was not to be a let's fund this specific event. I don't want to name it, but whatever event A is, regardless of the other events that may ask for funds. I think that there's supposed to be a system of checks and balances, in other words, to help events establish themselves, help events grow, and therefore, as those events grow and take hold, that there would be more opportunity to utilize the funding pool to offer the same opportunity to yet another event in the community.
Sure,
Is that correct, Kelly?
Yes, and also I would also look at it this way. Maybe you started out as a one-day event and you want to grow your event. So now you've moved to a 2-day event, now you've moved to a 3-day event because it warrants that. So that allows you to have more funding, increase the amount of times that we advertise for you. So that's kind of another way to look at it as well. And then keep in mind, how we're funded and all that. This comes out of the new product penny. So at what point are we like, this is not a new product? So that's also one of the things, that the council brings up every time I bring to them $500,000. I get asked, where does this money come from? What penny? And I tell them, and they come back and they're like, how do you consider these new product? So there's a couple other things though that I think might benefit events. We would still continue to do help with promotional items, lanyards, cups, all of that stuff. We would still continue to do that. And I know that, a lot of you maybe spend your money on, you buy things with the money, some promotional items, or like one year, I know Kelly, we supported the little cups at Beer and Butts, and it had our logo on it. I would like to, we've talked about a system and a way to come up with to still be able to give you all that in cash so that you would be able to continue to brand it, however you would want to brand something like that. And that would be an opportunity if you wanted to do a t-shirt or a cup or something that you could put everyone's
or banners.
Yeah, those kind of things. And if you wanted to put everyone's logo on that, we would not be adverse to that either. Everyone that's being a sponsor, and if you wanted to buy feather flags or, anything to help out, some of that kind of thing.
Your gift bags and so forth.
Yeah, gift bags, however you would want to do that. So I know there's always been a cap, or lately there's been a cap on that, what you can spend. We would probably want to keep it very similar to that. So it's not completely without money that you can spend some things on and maybe put some additional sponsors on.
What will the reporting be like since it's changing? So
There will be none. There will be
which
none.
is awesome.
Other than, we're going to give you reporting because the online is going to have analytics attached to it. The radio, everything's going to have analytics attached to it. PJ and I talked about, would you all be interested in having reader service cards in print? I don't know if that's something that you all are interested in. Maybe the CAA is interested in that because you have so many other events, and if you get those leads directly, they would come directly to you. We would provide them. We would not even see your leads because that's the way that program works. Your people that want to know about Festival A and they don't check South Walton, guess what? That goes directly to Festival A, does not even come to South Walton because those are your leads. So we could do some reader service in some of those, and we would definitely provide all the analytics and everything that we could. You would also have
And by event, by the way, so not just that print ad
No.
X got X amount of leads, but as a result of print ad X, event A received this many leads and event B received this many leads and so
And they go
forth.
directly to you all,
Because
not
those
to
leads are
South Walton.
actually separate from the TDC branding ad leads. We'll have special custom landing pages available on the website so that we are promoting like-minded events. But we're not trying to capture the consumer on our website. We're actually trying to get them to pass right through. We need to do the click-throughs, provide them with the opportunities, but there's an immediate click from that landing page that would take the consumer right to the event websites so they can buy tickets and register and so on and so forth. So we're trying to drive additional traffic right to the event sites.
And you have pretty much complete creative control over that, as much as I can allow it within the framework and the wireframes. You have you format the copy, you give me the copy, you give me the pictures you want to use, you tell me what links you want to go where, and I make it happen. So it's solely Event A's landing page, and it goes directly to Event A, and there will be no Event B, C, or D on that page, and then it clicks directly through to Event A's website. So, and then if we do those leads that come to you like that, or if we get signups or anything, or even through reader service, those go directly to you all. Then, because they've asked to know more about, because we co-brand your ads with, for example, I co-brand your ads Alice Beach and the 30A Wine Festival, because that's how that works. I co-brand your CAA and your events as well, Jennifer. Then you have an opportunity to send leads to those people as well. It'd be very similar to a sweeps program that we do, and some of those get up to, the least amount of leads that I've ever seen for a sweepstakes that didn't have a stay with it was 3,000 a month, and the most, if it had a really good stay, can be up to 10,000. And Haley can corroborate that because she has to put them in the system.
Kelly, what are the next steps? Because I know you'd like to get some feedback from the event committee collectively and individually.
So I want to send out an email for each of you to fill out, some of your places that you advertise, where you advertise. And then I want to aggregate that together. And in the meantime, while we're working on that, the application would go out. I would like the application to go out next week for everyone to fill it out, because it's much easier now. It is, we didn't add anything to the application, we just took things out. So I feel like it's a much easier application to fill out. And then, because you all fill them out, how long do you think a month, 6 weeks is long enough to have it out? Or do you feel that since it's a little different, it needs a little longer? I'm just open to your question. I would like to get it done in June, so we meet in April, May, June. I'd like to have, if possible, have our next meeting and have everything done prior to the June council meeting, so that it all can be approved at the June council meeting.
So if it's part of the budget already, it's not the application process, are they still going to need to approve each individual event that's still a part of the program, or is it just the budget that they approve?
I believe it's just, I honestly don't know, Jennifer. I will ask that. That's actually something I haven't.
I mean, because I would say just the timing needs to depend on what if they're just approving the budget amount, then that's one thing, but if they're having to approve each application.
Our budget is already approved for this particular program. What we'd be looking at is the participants within the program and the levels that we
And they still need to approve
produce.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, because we would deem them as either, there would be money next to them, but
it is a value award, not a financial.
It gives you guys an opportunity to say, yes, this should be an experience event. Yes, this should be a signature event. And then we would give, and there could be people that apply that aren't events, or you know, I don't care if the road rally is having a great time at the tattoo parlor, but that's not exactly the one that we're gonna promote. So it gives this committee an opportunity to be like, this definitely has what, you know, South Walton consumers are looking for.
Can I ask a question about you mentioned 3 to 5 ads, full page ads. Will those always be co-op? So if the race is a signature event, would it get its own ad in those magazines?
It can depend.
And where does the creative come from there?
The creative is going to come from Zender. One of the things that I would like for you all to do is we have to have a photo shoot for this. We've not had a photo shoot for this. I've got some things that I've written down that, you know, I want to have in the shots. Like, you know, what I'm looking at is like, I'm sure we're going to call Sandestin because they have several events and see if we can do a shot at Sandestin. But then I'm sure we're going to call Alice Beach and see if we could do a shot there. So it does represent different places. But if you get to the end of the year or even the beginning of the year, like Fashion Week or whatever, it could potentially be in an ad by itself because there's really nothing that goes along with it. It's just depending on the cycle and how that works. So, but I will give you a heads up on this is who, since you all aren't paying for this, I'll still give you an opportunity. So when this ad goes out, let me back up, because I don't think any of you have participated in co-ops. So Zender mocks this ad up and sends it to me. I take and look at St. Joe, every single one of them, and make sure all this information is correct. Once I sign off on this information, say it is correct, I send it to the representative at St. Joe, and then they sign off saying it's correct. And it gives you an opportunity to double check your information to make sure we haven't messed it up or anything like that. So that is one of the ways you'll have some checks and balances there. Another way is obviously when we create the online ads, those are all you, and you know, you could even submit your own photography if you wanted to. So, I mean, as a matter of fact, I would probably want your own photography because that's going to be way better. Your event photography was specifically done during your event. I can't recreate that. I can recreate a setting, but I can't recreate, you know, Grand Boulevard during the Songwriters Festival. So I can't recreate playing croquet at Alice Beach. So do you all feel like if we put it out next week that 4 weeks would be plenty for people to fill it out?
I think so.
Okay, so I'll do that. I'll call a meeting the next week, and let me look at that time frame. So today is March 21st. If I can, I'm going to try to get it out in the connection this week. So, and go ahead and put it online this week.
Are we going to review it today?
Yes, we can. It's been approved by the BCC.
Okay, it's already done.
So, do you all feel like we could have a meeting May 2nd? If I make the applications due the 18th, that would give you all a week and a half to actually almost 2 weeks to review them. I know one of the considerations I've got in the past is I never give you all enough time to review them. So
the applications?
Yes.
For the 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we would have a meeting on May 2nd. Applications, I would get the applications to you all like the 20th or something.
What are the applications due?
So, well, that's what I was going to make the applications due on the 18th of April, and then get them to you all by the 20th, and then we would have a meeting on this May 2nd. Is that you guys are the only ones here, so you get to make the choice.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me. Yeah.
And I'll do like I've done in the past. Anyone who has ever applied for any type of event grant, I will send it out directly to them. It will live on the Visit South Walton website. We will put it in the paper. So there will be some other things so people realize that it's going on.
Kelly, can we step back and just clarify the survey itself? The survey is for the events in the community to provide feedback. The survey is for the committee, to provide feedback.
The committee to
Okay.
provide feedback.
So is it within the application that you're asking for the venues that the events themselves would like to be seen in, have exposure to, or
No,
where does
it'd
that
just
happen?
it'd just be a separate survey that I was going to send out to them. It will probably just be a write-in survey that name your top 3 outlets, name your top 3 geographical regions, or maybe I'll do top 5 if you're a signature event. That's what I'm talking about, and I have it like halfway in the works in my mind, but I don't have it completely figured out. So that one will take me just a little bit longer, but I do have it like halfway in my mind. And it'll be print outlets, online outlets, and then some things that, you know, could be added value. One of the things that I would like to do is make sure we get some e-newsletters for added value and some other things like that. So it'll also be an opportunity for whatever you guys would like for added value as well. So it'll be a couple questions. It won't be anything, you know, too difficult because it's things you already know. And if you have more than one event, you're welcome to fill out, you know, if you have 3, 4 events or whatever, and you plan to apply for that, you could fill out different ones because I would want to know specifically for, I mean, Arts Quest and songwriters might not be the same. It might, because, or, you know, Fashion Week or, you know, the wine festival and your run, that they're not going to be the same. So I'd like for you to fill out one for each of your individual events. And then as we move forward and we select the events, I'll also have those event people fill that one out too, so that I'm making sure that I'm actually getting feedback from the people that have been approved as events. Because it's not, I promise you, I'm not working in a vacuum, because that is no fun. Anything else on that topic?
Remind me, I'm sorry, of the timeline. So you'll release the application this week, next week.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
And
close
The 18th.
on April 18th.
Yeah, April 18th. I'll have them all to you all by the 20th.
Okay.
And we'll have a meeting as long as this room is available. That may be the only thing that changes, but as long as this room is available.
May 2nd. Is that, okay. Got it. Thank you.
And then that gives plenty of time to get it all back into the TDC council before they meet in June, because they have a very strict deadline.
The email you sent out to remind us that it was here, does that have the attachments to the grant guidelines? Because I clicked on it and I saw the minutes.
It should have kept going and
was all
been something
this.
behind it.
Each item has its own attachment. That's the way
There
the
it is.
system
Yeah.
It's embedded within it.
And
Exactly.
I have to make a couple updates to the timetable for review because I had not made that because I was waiting for you all. So that one is incorrect, but I will make those updates today. And we'll take, once, that's the whole reason it has draft on it, is because it has the incorrect dates, because I needed to talk to you all before I set the dates. So if there's no further information or anything you want to discuss, we can, or is everybody, we're just discussion over? We can move forward to, the next thing would be updates from the Director of Marketing. So do you have any updates?
That would be me.
Somebody else gets to talk, yay.
In your packet is just an updated kind of a fact sheet with percentages and so forth. You saw this kind of style presentation for tourism statistical information in the annual report that was distributed following the October meeting. And we've simply had an update because we did get an economic development or an economic impact study conducted and completed, which I've been presenting to various community groups upon request. And I just wanted to update the information. Do you all have this? Do you have a copy of this?
I didn't. I didn't print it out, but
I can share this one right here with you.
I've got it. We've got it right here. Sure.
So it's just really an FYI. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about our website. And about a year and a half ago, the TDC embarked on a new website. And when you change websites, it takes a while for the search engines to kind of catch up with you, if you will. So we've been monitoring performance, not only with visitor traffic, but looking at the usability and how user-friendly it is. We just completed a usability study, and the goal of that study was to help us to continue to modify and improve the website. That study was literally just completed last week, and we are reviewing opportunities to continue to upgrade the content and particularly the navigation to make sure that folks are finding our information readily. So I just wanted to share with you that the website is one of those marketing communication channels that continues to evolve and grow, because it's a very fluid piece, and we have a culture, a society now that finds all their information online. So it's really important for us to have that opportunity to make sure that the website itself is doing, is offering the credible information in an easy to find fashion that our visitors and potential visitors can easily find. So that's a continual evolution. As Kelly mentioned earlier, we talked about a website landing page. We talked about the events having their pages. These are all things in the bigger picture that we continue to provide new content. If a website simply has static content, there's no reason to return. If you think about it, you've got your information, why go back? Mm-hmm. So it's our opportunity then to continue to fill the information funnel, and we do that through a variety of ways. One of the big ways is through a section called Tips and Trips. And we publish articles and blogs in that particular section to keep people coming back for more. We're happy to do that on the events portion as well. So it's part of the plan. I just wanted to let you know the study was complete. We're now looking at opportunities to move the needle forward and keep raising the bar. Anyone have any questions about that?
Well, I would say the meeting is adjourned, but it's not, we don't have a quorum, so we don't have to say that. So thank you all for coming and taking time out of your day. Please know I'm here. Most of you know how to get a hold of me easily. You have all the numbers I can give you. So email me, call me, text me. I like text, as Kelly knows. But I will, whatever you guys need, just let me know. I'm very thankful that you all are still a part of this committee, because without you all, we can't do the job that we do. And I'm very thankful that you all continue to put on the wonderful events that continue to bring consumers here and let them fall in love with South Walton. And I'd love an update, Carolyn, on what's going on at Seascape, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, the town centre?
Yeah, I'd love an update on that if you have a moment.
Still a little bit cagey about telling us what, what restaurants and things. There's a Mexican restaurant, Mula ice cream, an event centre. They're actually putting the children's area and things that kind of similar to Baytown together, the ropes and the slides and things, putting that together. Because I was out doing a site visit the other day, I'm like, why are they putting it over there on the golf course when it's over there? But they said they're staging it there and they're moving it. So so a lot more restaurants coming. Acme Oyster House definitely is going to be there. Still, I think they're looking at probably third week of May. It seems to be going a little bit behind, I think, right now. But still the third, fourth week. So I just want to know what area they're going to have so that I could do, wedding on the deck or something, or I want to use it. So
that's very exciting for you all and very exciting for South Walton.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
Grand opening.
That's what I'm waiting for, a grand opening and also a get together of, tell me what, what we can use, what we can do, so just what space that we could have, so. But yeah, I think it's going to be great, because a lot of people, Baytown's great, and I always encourage people when they do site visits to go there, look around, because maybe your guests will want to go there, after the rehearsal. But if it's everybody wants right on property. They don't want to drive on 98, they want to stay right here and get just a tram to take them back to the condo. So it's great, and it's also looking at, other possibilities of shuttle service to bring people to the town center too.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah.
Kelly, any updates on anything going on at Alice Beach that's fabulous? More fabulous than normal?
Every day is fabulous. I wish that were really true. We're celebrating 10 years of digital graffiti in May. That's
awesome.
very exciting. So, and we just rolled off of the wine festival, so I'm still getting my life back in order. The Lucian, which is our first condo units, are almost finished, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
We actually have an event that I'll probably apply for.
Okay.
We got an event at Seascape this past, it was right before the Super Bowl. It's a little time, it's for the Rotary, so they donate, it's a civic organization, as you all know. And we had a band out there, and they were doing barbecue, and they had the little cornhole thing going on. And I'm trying to remember the girl that we worked with from
Lisa?
Seascape. Yeah, she's
Lisa
awesome. She was awesome, and the Acme guys came out, and they, so everybody donates their time with the tents. We had tents spread out and everything. So I have some questions for you, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, because Seascape, I think, is an underutilized, and I think with what's going on with the shops that are going in there, I suspect it'll become a little bit more friendly, for people to come and visit and stay for a while. Because it was actually a very good venue. We actually did it next to the golf course. So
cool.
Big wide open spaces and
Right,
stuff.
driving range there.
Yeah.
Updates, fabulous, Jennifer?
We have the Seaside Writers Conference and Arts Quest coming up this is our second year of the Art Week initiative, which includes digital graffiti and the Northwest Florida Theater Festival. So excited about that. And I've talked to PJ a little bit about this, but we're about to launch the Underwater Museum of Art, which is going to be the first underwater sculpture museum in North America. So
It's going to be great.
That's cool. Like a snorkel to it, like with the artificial reefs.
The first installation will be a dive site because it'll be at 45 to 60 feet depth. But we're working with the South Walton Artificial Reef Association, and they've dedicated an acre for this purpose. And we're going to start with 3 to 6 sculptures this late summer, early fall.
That's cool. Where's the dive site going to be?
We've been talking about the Grayton Beach site, but we're still not certain if that's going to be we want to make sure that it's the most accessible.
Right.
So,
cool.
I can't tell a lot because we haven't.
That would be fun, yeah.
Once we do it once, then we'll know a lot more. But
that would be awesome.
Super exciting.
It is exciting.
Because as a diver, there's nowhere to dive here. It's because it's all sand and icky, and it'd be nice to have something to go look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get the involvement of this international artist he's really been the sole artist who has done this around the world, and get him here and at least consult, but hopefully
so much fun.
Provide us with the sculpture. So we'll see. Hopefully I have more update in May.
I'm excited. One last thing that I wanted to touch on, just made me think of it when you guys moved, started telling me all your wonderful things. Don't forget that, we currently, I am and PJ are the communications department. So if you need something, we're hoping to get some more people soon, but if you need something communication-wise, you have journalists or anything in town. But one of the things that goes along with the events that I try really hard is if I'm going to have a journalist in town, I try to revolve it around one of you all's events, because that just gives that journalist that much more exposure to the wonderful things that we have. So that's an additional thing that I try to steer anyone towards something like that. And with doing that, we're looking at having 3 to 5 journalists in during Art Week and taking them to the different things that are going on in Art Week. So I will be getting with you soon, Jennifer. We just ironed out the stuff yesterday.
Okay.
And I've already spoke with Kelly a little bit about getting them tickets to Digital Graffiti. but I want to make sure that, you know, they get a full rounded experience of the whole art scene that we have. So, you know, Jennifer, if possible, I'd love to do a meet and greet with you and them at the Bayou Arts Center, and those are just some of the things that we're doing. We have several other journalists in town from between now and then, and you know, you never know when I might call on you to do, depending on what their article angle is. I love to, you know, put people out there with the right people. So, and we continue to do that, and that's one of the things that's very important to me, because if I can get someone to write about your festival, that's even more fabulous than anything. So that's one of the things that we do. If there's nothing further, thank you for coming, and you'll be hearing from me soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome.
Thank you.